All right, this will be chapter 4, which is network security and privacy. All right, this is probably one of my favorite chapters. So, networking. All right, we have what's called a computer network, and this is going to enable two or more computers to share resources. What type of resources? Where it could be software, printer, data files, internet connection. Again, like the list just kind of goes on and on. What things that you could share. All right. And traditionally, your computer networks are going to increase productivity by saving time and money. So by having multiple devices network together, instead of having to have 10 printers, one on each computer, you can now have one printer in the center of the room and everyone prints to that one printer. So you're saving money on buying a printer and all those other fun things. You can also buy a better printer than buying 10 cheap printers. You buy one nice printer, which is going to print better and save you maybe money on toner and things like that. All right. So that would be our computer network. Now we do have peer-to-peer networks. That's P2P, not our PNP. That was our plug and play. All right, where each computer is considered the equal. All right, so we're going back to that one. So each device can share its resource with all the other devices in the network. And traditionally on the Windows environment, we call this a work group. All right, so you put all the people in the same work group and then they are able to share their resources. So you could have multiple work groups set up and only people in the same work groups are able to share their resources. All right, so that's a nice way to separate people when they log in. It's pretty stinking easy and long to network two Windows computers together to share printers and routers and things. And Windows default work group name is called workgroup if you're ever working on things. All right. Now, we do have servers. We talked a little bit about this just a few minutes ago, or in the previous video if you're watching that. So servers are a multi-user computer system running on a network operating system, all right? And the purpose is to provide those services such as internet access, email, file, or print services, those types of things, to the clients that are going to be accessing the servers, all right? So again, this takes some of the processor-intensive things that you might distribute among other computers and puts them all in one location, all right? Now this is mainly a good thing. This is done for the purpose of the IT world, to make managing all this stuff easier. So instead of me having to manage 10 computers all sharing their printers with each other, I have all 10 printers connected to one computer, and I have that one computer managing everything. So when something stops working, I have to go to one spot instead of 10 different computers to figure out what happened. An IP address change for a printer, I have to go change it on 10 computers. That'd be annoying, where if I can change it on one computer, life is pretty simple. So as a person who hates repetitive tasks for no purpose, I'm a big fan of servers. That's what it comes down to. All right. We have server virtualization. Again, that's kind of goes back to our VDIs and things like that. All right. And we do have what's called an infrastructure as a service nowadays. This allows access to company. This gives all access to companies as server to company B through the internet. All right. So if you're a company A, instead of having a server on site, you could have it at a different location, and now they can, share that with you remotely, basically. All right. We also have software as a service, and that's like Office 365, where you're accessing Office through your web browser. So instead of having installed on your local computer, we're doing this all through a web browser. So it's the same idea as the software as a service, but it's now on the infrastructure purpose of actual server computers. Amazon has it, Google has it, so there's a lot of companies out there that are doing this type of thing. All right. There are a bunch of different topologies. All right. The three big ones are bus, ring, and star. All right. And traditionally nowadays we're using Ethernet to connect all these. We used to use coax, but now we're at an Ethernet. All right. So what a topology is, it's the physical layout of a LAN, or a local area network. So the bus, as we can see here on the left-hand side, and back on. So our bus topology over here. All right, nodes are connected to a single cable which is terminated on each end. So the data packets move back and forth along the cable. So they all share this big backbone, that's what it comes down to, and they all have a direct connection to it. All right. Next, we have ring. That would be our top right. All right. And this connects nodes using a single cable, but in this case, the ends of the cable are connected and the data packets move around the circle. So when this one transmit, all the data comes to this guy, and then this guy, and this moves around in this ring type of system. All right. And then our last one, and this is the one that is basically used today, which is our star topology. Right. So all of our devices connect back to a central node, such as a switch or a wireless access point. All right. And the big benefit to the star is we can add another device right here without affecting anything. All right. Where if I need to add a device here, I need to break the chain, I need to put my device in there, and I need to connect it up. All right. Same thing here. If I don't put a device right there, I need to break the chain, connect a new device up here, and we're good to go. The star kind of simplifies that all, and also it helps with your network speed, because when this device is trying to get, so we're trying to go from A to C here, right? B, C. A talks to this device, says, hey, I need to talk to so-and-so, and that goes, oh, that's this way, and it sends information out. All right. Where with these other ones, we're trying to go from A to C, you'd have to go A, you'd send it through B to then get to C. All right. So the star topology is basically the biggest one that we're using nowadays. You'll see this more in the next slide. All right. So here you can see we've got the cloud. We come into here through our modem to our router. That sends it out to a different router, to a different one, to a different one. Again, we've got 3 legs to this. Oh, and then we also have our server, and then this switch or a router sends it off to 3 devices. So you can see how we've got a star and a star and a star type of thing going on. All right. Now, starting at the smallest type of network is our PAN, our PAN. All right. This is your personal area network. This is going to be extremely small. Normally, it's one person to one person. All right. We don't normally have a whole bunch of devices in the PAN. All right. The best example of this would be Bluetooth. All right. If you have Bluetooth headphones or Bluetooth keyboard, or you're sending a file over Bluetooth, that's from one phone to another phone type of thing. All right. Or one phone to your headphones. That is our PAN, a little small network. All right. I think Bluetooth for most devices has about like a 30-foot range, and that's about it. All right. After that, we go up to our LAN, which is our local area network. All right. And that's what we kind of have going on here. This would be a LAN. All right. So let's erase all link on the slide. Go. All right. So CPB, that would be a LAN by itself. All right. So that's all local. They're all in the same general location, same physical location. So again, they're all in one building. All right. We have our WLAN, or WLAN. That's just a wireless LAN. All right. So if you're connected to the wireless, you're on the WLAN. Okay. Next, we have our wide area network. All right. This connects multiple locations and multiple LANs over dedicated lines. All right. So again, this would be CPP, this would be STEM, this would be ATC, this would be our main router on campus, wherever that's located. All right. So if we were to look at this whole thing as one thing, we have 3 LANs all connected together to a WAN, our wide area network. All right. I'm gonna come back on that one. All right. Really, our WAN is the cloud. All right. That's what we normally think about things. The internet is our WAN, our wide area network. So our house is one LAN, and then it connects to the cloud, which connects us to every other network out there. All right. What I just circled here, as an HCC's campus, I would call that more MAN, which I don't have listed on here. I should really have that in the middle. MAN, right? That would be a metropolitan area network. So it's a network that covers a single geographic area. All right. So again, HCC's campus would be a great example. So we connect 3 different LANs together, and that makes our WAN. Our MAN, metropolitan. So HCC's campus would be the MAN. Each building would be its own little LAN. Right. Now, to go along with that, we have our VLANs, which is our virtual local area network. All right. So while a LAN is normally within one building of a corporation, a VLAN goes across multiple buildings. All right. And a great example of this isn't how I have this set up, is, again, you can see how we have these green computers on here. We got green computer 1. So even though these green computers are in different buildings, these are all faculty computers. All right. So they may all be on the faculty VLAN. All right. And then all the blue computers, those are on the student network. So they're on the student VLAN. So even though they're in 3 different buildings, this faculty computer could talk to that computer, which could talk to that one. So we could all share resources or access the same printers or things like that. So it's very interesting when we start getting into these virtual areas and things like that. All right. And it can get very complicated. All right. And this is why we have people who are like, all they do is networks. That's all they do. They make sure the network is running properly. They make sure everybody can talk to who they're supposed to talk to and not who they're supposed to talk to. And so these things can get very complicated along. All right. We also do have storage area networks, or SANs. All right. These are they're used for companies with mass amounts of storage. All right. So if you have like a big AI data set or something like that, you're going to need a storage area network. Now, again, to go along with our VLANs, we also have what's called a VPN. All right. You've probably heard of these as a way to get around Netflix's you can't watch that in the United States type of issue. All right. But that's not just what they're used for. So this is the same as a VLAN, but the local LAN over the internet. So I could be, sitting at my home, right, and I have my router, and I have my computers, right, my little laptop sitting here, right, and that connects to the cloud. Well, I could be sitting at home, connect to the VPN, which sends all my data through the cloud, through here, connect to the router, and it makes it look like that I'm actually sitting, right here on my computer, on the actual network, right? This is normally a encrypted and secure communication, right? So if I had a need to access resources that are on HEC's campus that HEC says no one off campus can have access to, I could still do it with a VPN. So it allows me to log in and access, my network shares or things like that, or licenses for software that I might need to have at home, those types of things. So it is a very important capability to have. All right, it's really useful in certain circumstances and really worthless in others. All right, I do actually have a VPN set up at my house, so I could log in right now and it look like I'm sitting at home in my house, and I could print on my printer. I can access my local files. I can configure my router, whatever it is I want to do. I can do that all from anywhere in the world, basically. So it's a very powerful tool to have access to. All right. And as part of all of this, we have domains. And this is a network of clients and servers under the control of one central security database. All right. That central server is called the domain controller. And when you log into the domain through the domain controller, you have access to all the servers in the domain, provided security credentials give you access to that server. All right. And again, this is all about making the world of IT, the people who manage everything, easier. That's the whole point here. So basically, when you log in, IHGC has said, hey, you're a student. They put you in the student domain group. So when you log onto the laptop in my lab or a different lab on campus or whatever the case is, they're going, hey, you're a student. Here are the resources you're allowed access to. All right. And it automatically sets things up. Where if I log onto that same exact computer, it says, hey, you're faculty. Here's the resources you're allowed access to. So I can access license services while you can't access license services. So it's a little bit of a give and take, but those domains again are there to make life really easy for IT people. Now, as part of networking, there is a whole bunch of different hardware. All right. The first big important one is going to be the router. All right. Now, what we think of a router in the world of home use, which is this device over here on the right, all right, is actually a router, a switch, and an access point. So it's actually all three of these things joined together. All right. And sometimes it has the modem built into it as well. All right. Not normally, but sometimes. If you're using the one right from Comcast, it has the modem built right into it. If you're not, you might have you probably have a separate modem. But anyway, a router is a device that connects two or more networks. All right. So again, router at home doesn't mean a whole lot. Down here, we've got more of an industrial router. So maybe your main internet connection would come in here, and then this would go out to your one building, this would go out to another building, this would go out to another building, and all of these, maybe some of these would go down to your servers, whatever the case is. A lot of things going on there. And I probably have these all marked wrong. These are our high-speed ports. So these are all where our internet's going to come in from one of these, and then it's going to go out the rest of all of this. All right. So it connects two or more networks together. So again, HCC, every building its own little subnetwork. The main router is going to connect all those networks together, and also the internet itself, and bring that in. It shoots that all out to everything else. And all a router is basically a computer with multiple network interface cards. All right. So if we look down here, we've got 4, 8, 16, 32, I don't know, 40 different network ports going on in this thing, something like that. Notice that we even have two different power supplies, so if one fails, there's a backup there for it. All right, we also have more expansion going on here at the top, so you could add more network cards if you needed to. All right. Some routers have a built-in firewall. Your one at home traditionally does. Right. So, but yeah, so the router, extremely important device. It's going to take that internet and allow you to share it to other devices. All right. Next, we've got a switch. All right, and again, your home router normally has a switch built right into it. All right. And this is going to connect multiple devices to that single network. Normally, if you look at the back of your router, you have one port that's enabled WAN, and traditionally that's going to be yellow. And they normally have 4 ports right next to that. All right, and those are going to be your LAN ports. Right. So these 4 ports are actually, there's actually a 5th one that we can't see. That's just built onto the board internally on that router, and that connects us to the actual router itself. All right, and then that's what allows the WAN and the router to actually talk. All right. So the switch connects multiple devices together. If you have what's called a dumb switch, that's called a hub. All right. Your switch may have PoE on it, which this one does have. It says right there, PoE, these 4 ports. All right. PoE stands for Power over Ethernet. So this allows you to send power and networking over one cable, which is really nice for things like access points and security cameras, and there's some lights that are out there that are PoE powered. So it really makes life a lot simpler when you can have PoE. All right. The switch that you're using will determine your max network speeds. All right. So right here you can see this is a gigabit switch. All right. If I plugged a 5 gigabit device into this, it's going to only be 1 gigabit at max. All right. So it will be lower in the long run. So a little bit of give and take over there. So you do want to make sure that you buy a good enough switch so that you can handle what you're expecting to be your fastest devices. To me, gigabit, plenty for anything for the home access points. All right. But yeah, if you want to go really quick, or you're doing a lot of stuff where you're sending data to servers or things, then maybe 2.5 or 5 gig is the way to go. Next, we've got our access points, our APs. All right. On the screen, I'm showing you the Unify control line here. All right. Again, this is traditionally built right into that home router that we have. This allows devices to connect to the network wirelessly, and this is a wireless switch. All right. You do have traditionally control over the Wi-Fi names and the security that you're using, so that's really nice. And sometimes you can have multiple Wi-Fi networks off one single access point, so that is very handy to be able to do. Okay. And then last but not least, these are starting to become more common, is our ONT, our optical network terminal. All right. This is used when we have fiber optics coming into the house. So down here is a great picture. All right. You have your ONT right here. So that is where your fiber optic would come in. And then over here, we have 2 Ethernet ports. And if you guys probably can't see very well, but it says 10, 100, 1,000. So these telling you that these ports are capable of 10 megabit, 100 megabit, or 1,000 megabit or gigabit network speeds. All right. So ONTs are starting to become kind of standard in households. At my house, I actually have 2 different fiber providers that I can use. I can use Comcast and I can use Point Broadband. So that's very handy in the long run for me. So yeah, if you don't have ONTs, you also might have a modem, right? And that's what we've got going on over here. That's going to have your standard coax, that long silver shiny thing with threads on it that you screw your old TV cable signal onto. All right, and your modem is actually an analog device, so it's taking the analog signals that are coming in over the coax line and converting those to digital. For the ONT, is the optical network terminal, that is digital to digital. So both are important for you, and both are going to affect what your network speeds are. To go along with this, we have network cards, or network interface cards, NICs. All right. There are 4 main options. There's wired, there's wireless, and there's cellular. I guess there's 3. And then we also have, are they PCI based or USB based? All right. So the speed of your NIC is based on the controller that's built into that device. All right. Now that is going to be where this PCI versus USB comes into play. All right. PCI 3 speeds for one lane are at 984 megabytes per second. So if you wanted to do gigabit, you couldn't quite get there with a single lane of PCI 3. Now, if you did 4 lanes of PCI 3, you could do almost 4 gigabits per second. So you could do at least 2.5 gig network speeds. Again, couldn't do 5, but you could do 2.5 gig. However, if you go up to PCI Gen 4, now we get almost 2 gigabits per one lane. So with 4 lanes, we could do almost 8. So there's a lot more speed capability there. USB 2 speeds max out at 60 megabit. That's not really that fast in the long run anymore. USB 3, we're up to 600 megabit, so that's nice. If we got 3.1, you can do 1.25 gigabit. So you could do a 1 gig network speed over a 3.1 interface. So that's really, really handy. All right. And how do you know whether it's PCI or USB? So here's a USB plug. You all should be used to those. And here you can see some different PCI connections. We've got that one. We've got this one. We've got this one. All right. So those are all our PCI connections. Now, this one is a network jack that you might see, and it takes cards like this. So that way we can do either direct copper, so you could plug a copper network cable in from here to another one of those, or this one's a fiber optic transceiver, so it actually takes the electrical signals, converts it to light, and sends it out of these, and then we can convert it back. All right, so it is a little bit of a give and take going on here. Now, with computer networks, we have some different things. So we have sharing. So we're sharing our internet, we're sharing software, we're sharing hardware, we're sharing files. All right, we kind of talked about that one. And again, we could do wireless or wired. All right. Most people nowadays, they're going to just stick to wired. Or I'm sorry, wireless. That's kind of like their bread and butter. They're like, I don't see a point to go to anything else. All right. And I will tell you, wireless is perfectly fine. All right. You're going to limit your speeds. And you might have connectivity issues sometimes, especially depending on where you are in the house and how well things work. But wireless, it gets the job done for most applications. All right. However, I will say, if you have the opportunity, run that wire. All right. It will make your cell life so much easier. All right. And we've already talked about server clients and domains. All right. Now we do have some different network protocols. All right. So we have TCP, which is our transmission control protocol. This handles data packets and ensures that they are transmitted reliably. All right. So TCP is sending out the data, making sure, hey, you actually got that data. So there's a little bit of a handshake going on here. All right. The other option is UDP. This is User Datagram Protocol, and it's the main alternative to TCP. All right. The UDP is often used in applications that are specifically tuned for real-time performance. There's no error checking or request for information. It's just sending information. So UDP is basically like, hey, I'm here. Here's the temperature. Here's the temperature. Here's the temperature. Here's the temperature. Just sending that information out. I don't actually care if you get it. I'm just sending it out. That's my job. All right. And your job is to gather the information. All right. Where TCP is like, hey, you want to know the temperature? And you're like, yeah, I do. And you're like, all right, here you go. And they're like, thanks. All right. So it's a whole different process here. All right. TCP is you having a conversation with your friend. UDP is the person on a loudspeaker making an announcement, basically. All right. Now, both of these are based off the Internet Protocol, and this is an addressing and routing, how packets are routed to their destination is what it comes down to. All right. We have HTTP, which is your Hypertext Transfer Protocol. All right. Normally nowadays it's followed by an S, HTTPS. Most things are starting to be secure. All right. Which means we're now having an encryption between you and the website that you're talking to. All right. Any website that you're going to enter any sorts of important information on better have an S on it, or you shouldn't be entering information there. Most likely, you're going to probably get hacked if you do something that's not that way. All right. And then we also have FTP, which is our file transfer protocol, and this is for transferring files between computers. Now, when it comes to your wireless, there's a few things going on. Oh, and let's quick go back to networking. So here again, you can see the WAN port, and then you can see the 4 LAN ports. All right. So just kind of interesting to me. Yes, I know my ends are backwards. All right. But anyway, back to wireless. So we have SSIDs. This is your service set identifier, also known as the name of your wireless network. All right. So what do you want it to be? All right. You also have encryption methods. All right. The first encryption method for wireless was called WEP, W-E-P, and this stood for Wired Equivalency Privacy. Wired Equivalent Privacy, or protocol. And if you think about it, you're like, well, that sounds great. This is as secure as my wired connection is. And in theory, that is great. But in actuality, wired is not very secure. Right? If you can get an Ethernet cable and you can unplug it from one side of the device, plug it into a computer that has 2 Ethernet ports, you can set your computer up to then forward all the packets it receives to the next one. But then also while collecting all that data. So it's going to add a little bit of delay. But overall, it's very unsecure. All right, so wired equivalency was not very good. It was the first encryption of its kind, so it was great in that aspect. However, it was really easy to hack. You could just set your computer there to capture data, and as long as someone was using the network, the wireless, you would capture enough data in probably like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, depending on the activity. And then you could have your computer process it. It would tell you a key. All right. I was curious if I could do this, so I actually did hack my own network at one point. So it was very, very interesting to see how easy that was to do. All right. Next, we had WPA, which is our Wi-Fi protected access. This was built as the result of WEP flaws, and there are 2 different types. There's PSK and TKIP. TKIP, or Temporal Key Integral Protocol, or PSK is the pre-shared keys. All right. And PSK was the more secure of the 2 options. We now are at WPA 2, which was Advanced WPA. This allowed for AES, or Advanced Encryption Standard. And this is the equivalent that's used by the U.S. government to protect classified documents. So in theory, that should be a pretty good option there. We also have WPS. This is not encryption standard. All right, but some routers used to have this little button right here. It's a horrible job. That button right there. All right. and that button circled in red. All right, and this was a way to automatically configure devices to your network. So as long as you had access to your router, you could add a device just by pressing a button. All right. This really, in the long run, again, it's one of those like really insecure things. It's like, oh, you just want to make me have to go press a button on my hardware? Well, my hardware is right there in the closet, so all I have to do is press that button, open my phone up when I don't know, I'm at a party or whatever, and now I'm on your Wi-Fi network. That's not a very secure thing. All right, so that is definitely something that we want to try to avoid. Personally, I never used it. All right, we also have cybercrime. All right, which happens on the internet, can take many different forms. We have cyberbullying, which usually refers to the exchange between minors, but between adults. It's called cyber harassment. Part of that is also cyber stalking. So this is more serious in nature, when the stalker demonstrating a pattern of harassment that poses a credible threat of harm. So cyberbullying is just bullying again on the internet. We have phishing, which is an email or instant message crime where you appear if it's someone you normally do business with, contacting you, asking to verify your account information. So if someone's like, hey, this is PNC and someone's hacked your account, please log in and change your password. When it's not actually PNC or whatever bank account it is that you use. All right, Discover, the credit union down the road, whatever the case is. Bank of America, another good option. All right, we have farming, which redirects you to phony websites without realizing it. So you sign on the website, you're handing the kind of the same idea as phishing, except for it's just a fake website you're going to. There are some techniques for this. We have suspicious emails and notifications. We have the phishing and the please send money scams. We've got clickjacking, which is when we're redirecting your clicks somewhere else. We've got clickbait, which is making you click on something malicious. We've got share baiting, again, sharing. You have identity theft. So there's a lot going on here. All right, and we have hacking. All right, and there are three main types of hackers. There's white hat, gray hat, and black hat. All right, but what hacking is it's unauthorized access to a computer system or network. All right, this is a huge threat right now against everybody. All right, you have the white hat hackers who get paid to hack their, company A hires them to hack into their own company so they can see how good their security systems are and their network teams to make sure that they're not getting into things they're not supposed to. You have the gray hat hackers that are illegally doing it, but they're not trying to be malicious about it. And then we have the black hat hackers who are hacking for malicious purposes, like they're like, I am trying to steal your corporate information type of thing. All right. And we also have hacktivism, which is hacking to make a political statement. And we have data breaches, which occurs when sensitive information or data is stolen by someone who's not authorized to do so. And this can lead to cyber terrorism, which is an unlawful attack against computers or networks that seeks to intimidate a government or its people for a political or social agenda. All right. This takes us to safe computing. All right. So you really need to practice safe computing. All right. This is critical to protecting your system and your personal information. All right. All of our personal information is already out there way more than it should be. All right. And some of that's you posting all this information on Facebook, and some of that's you because you need to reply to a loan to a bank and they needed your social security number, which they stored, and then that bank got hacked into or whatever the case is. So it's not a good thing that all our information is out there. It's part of life right now. Ever since the computer age started, our information has just gone out there more and more and more and more, and it's got kind of creepy and scary how much information is out there on ourselves. All right, so you do need to practice lots of safe computing. All right, Windows has what's called user account controls, and this can help provide network access to people while maintaining security. All right, so when you're normally using your computer, you don't want to be the admin because the admin can install things, it can tweak things, it can do all sorts of stuff that you don't really want to do on a normal basis. So you really want to have a non-admin account that you use on a daily basis, and then when you want to install software, you have to type in your admin credentials and actually say, yes, I am trying to install this, not just have the installer just run in the background instantaneously. Windows UAC used to be really bad, but it's gotten much, much better nowadays. All right. Yeah. So passwords, you want to regularly change those to something different. Don't let your computer remember your passwords. All right. Now, we are at a point where we have so many different accounts with so many different things because everything needs you to log in and create an account because everyone wants to collect all the data on you. All right. They want to make your life in the long run profitable. That's what they want. They want to make you profitable. So that everything you do on the internet, they want to make you log in so that way they can collect data and sell it or know what to send you or whatever the case is. So with the number of accounts that we all have, it's very hard not to have your computer remember your passwords. All right. So if you do have your computer do that, you want to make sure that you're using a good password manager. Personally, I've actually gotten away from Google as my password manager. It used to be my go-to, just built into Chrome. Everything was super nice. It worked so well. And then I realized how unsecure that actually was, because anyone who could sign into my computer would then have access to all of my passwords. All right, and I did not like that. I did not like that. If I left my computer up and you just walk by, you open Chrome up and you'd be like, oh, let me log into his bank account. Let me log into Facebook. My passwords were just there. I actually used to not save my bank account passwords, my credit card passwords, and things like that, because I'm like, no, I don't want those to be known. I've actually changed to a different password manager, because that way, before you can access it, you have to now get my passwords. You now have to actually type a password in to get my passwords. So yes, I am protected by one major password, which protects all the other passwords. If you're going to do that, you better make sure that that crazy password that you created is some really good password to help keep things, from leaking out there, basically. So, another good option with your passwords is to do two-factor authentication. All right, so again, it's like, okay, you have to log in with a password and prove you're you by getting a text message on your phone, or an email to a different account, or by touching your finger to something, or whatever the case is. So biometrics is a good option with two-factor authentication. And what biometrics is a measure of human characteristics. So your fingerprints, retinal patterns, voice patterns, face scans, those are all different types of biometrics. So those are definitely a good second factor, because that means proves that you are there. All right. Some of them can be much more easily defeated than others, so kind of interesting to look into. We've come a long way with fingerprint scanners and things like that. Now, having said that, I've heard, I don't know how true it is, that police can force you to unlock your phone using your fingerprint. So again, might not be the best system for you to use biometrics to unlock your phone. It is really convenient, but it may not be the safest thing as actually having a PIN, which they can't force you to type in without a warrant. So there's a little give and take going on there. All right. MAC addresses, your computer has them. They used to be unique to your device. All right. So, it used to be that Microsoft had MAC addresses from A to B, and then Apple would have B to C, and Samsung would be D to E, whatever the case is. However, nowadays we are doing randomized MAC events, and this is to help prevent listeners from using your Mac to build a history on you. All right, so you go into Starbucks and you connect to the Wi-Fi, and it's like, oh wait, we know you were here last week because we recognize your MAC address. All right, so they're now tracking your phone and how often you show up at Starbucks and things like that. So they're now able to track you based on your phone connecting to the Wi-Fi, which is why a lot of people say don't connect to open Wi-Fi networks. All right, it's not a good thing to do in the long run. Some of us have no option. It's like, well, I need to check something. My phone doesn't have internet right now because I don't have cell phone service. Open Wi-Fi is the only option. Okay, well then you can connect to it. It's just using a VPN to mask whatever it is you're doing, so that way they can't see whatever websites and things like that you're trying to go to. So a little give and take. But now your phone will also do randomizing, so it helps prevent people from tracking you. All right. We also have IP addresses. All right, and there's you can see here 5 main classifications, A through E. A is for large enterprises and government agencies. B is for medium-sized businesses and organizations. C is for small cities and home networks. D is for multicast, and E is for experimental and research. All right, this is all assuming class 4 addresses. We are running out of class 4 addresses, so they've actually created what's called IP version 6. All right, IP version 4. Do I have the magic number here? There it is. IP version 4 is 32-bit, which is 4.3 billion possible addresses. All right. So that means if every device had its own specific IP address, there'd be 4.3 possible devices on the network at one time. Version 6 is 128-bit, which is 340 undecillion possible addresses. That's 79 times 10 to the 25th more addresses. All right, so we've freaking skyrocketed. All right. Personally, I currently am not a fan of IP version 6. Just also something that no one's ever taught me about, so that's really the reason why. But for home purposes, IP version 4 will be plenty big. Even for most businesses, IP version 4 will be plenty big. It's when we get out to the World Wide Web, that's when IP version 6 is going to be necessary, because we're running out of things. So I'd just like to talk a little bit about IP addresses and whatnot. So yeah, for your home, these are reserved. So you can in theory pick any of these and you'll be okay. once you get outside of these, that we start becoming problematic. So, all right, that is all I've got.